He attacks them on the grounds of their religious beliefs. Would Francis go after the Amish as for their backwards, rigorous, of the past ways? Has he ever done that? Would he attack the Amish? No. Why would he not attack the Amish for being backwards and using horses instead of cars? He wouldn't, because it would be a violation of their religious freedom. You don't do that as a person of authority or power. You don't get to do it. But he goes after his own people. He goes after Catholics whose only crime is they want to believe and worship in a certain way. A way that was established in the church for 2,000 years. He goes,
legitimate right, too.
Absolute legitimate right, given to them by a pope. So what is this? What are we looking at? It's other than an obvious violation of the First Amendment rights of traditional Catholics. So where's this enterprising young lawyer who's going to start bringing these charges against the Holy One, I wonder? Because I think it's time. This man is spiritually abusing children. He's spiritually abusing, mocking, committing calumny and slander against perfectly innocent, priests in good standing. He's just using the full weight of his authority to attack them, his authority, he's mocking them because of what they believe, because of their faith, right? The note, quote, these young guys, they wear elegant and costly clothing, tailoring, lace, fancy trimmings, rochets, whatever that is. He's dressed, and he accuses them of dressing to conceal a mental imbalance. I'm quoting, friends. Accusing them how they dress, judging people by how they dress, judging them because you know who they dress like? Well, they dress like Padre Pio, they dress like Pius XII, they dress like Monsignor O'Flaherty, right, from Scarlet and the Black. They dress exactly as priests had always dressed and still do. So he's just mocking them for the way they dress. This is the Pope. Because he says it's concealing a mental imbalance, emotional deviation, and behavioral difficulties. He's saying they're crazy, and he's basing it much on how they dress. Okay. So are the Swiss guards guilty of the same thing? Because they too dress in a sort of different, antiquated way. Is that some sign, as far as Francis is concerned, of a mental imbalance? Well, we don't know. Maybe he's going to change that too. But this really is serious. He should be, I think, sued for it. He should be sued, maybe brought up on charges for this. What do these young priests do? They spent 8 years in a seminary learning theology, learning Latin, learning how to say the traditional Latin Mass that Pope Benedict, his immediate predecessor, said they could say. Francis comes along and just says they're all a bunch of nut jobs? And he gets away with this? And you have these ridiculous Pope-splainers out there on YouTube saying, oh yeah, man, it's about time somebody gets real about this problem. What, the problem of well-trained, well-disciplined, young traditional Catholic priests who aren't diddling the kids? That's the problem for Francis? Where does this guy get off? And let's not forget, this is the same Pope who's long been accused. Right now he's in the middle of a huge cover-up, right? Everybody's still talking about it, covering for his creepy little friends, such as Father Marco Rupnik, right? We all know about this dude. The alleged serial sexual abuser who went after a bunch of nuns at a convent. And pretty much everybody knows it's true. It's just a matter of, is the guy ever going to swing for it? Evidently not. He is, after all, a friend of the Pope's. So this attack on legitimate priests, again, who are not chasing the kids around, not diddling the kids around, just simply trying to lead young families in practicing their faith, this papal attack on them comes from the guy who just simply waited out the McCarrick scandal, the uber scandal, sexual scandal of the 20th century and 21st century in the Catholic Church, probably the worst scandal in the history of the church under Ted McCarrick, right? He just waited it out until the press stopped talking about it. After all, he is the Pope and doesn't need to answer any questions. Do you even remember the details of this? Well, this is what it looked like just a couple years ago.
The claim is explosive that Pope Francis covered up sexual abuse in the American church. But is it true? I won't say a single word about this, he said. The allegation is that he knew Cardinal Theodore McCarrick was abusive to adults, but did nothing for years until the Cardinal resigned last month. It's a church still reeling from Pennsylvania's grand jury report, detailing sexual abuse of children by hundreds of priests. This weekend in Ireland, the Pope begged forgiveness for similar crimes amid street protests and a church divided.
And all of this is to say nothing of the weirdos that Francis appoints to his inner circle, Francis is head, for example, of the former Holy Office, the dicastery of the Doctrine of the Faith. This is the Holy Office, right? This is responsible for heretics over the past few hundred years, disciplining dissidents, enforcing sexual morality in the church. The Holy Office used to be the CDF. Now, never mind that Francis is current head of the former Holy Office, wrote a book, we all know, we all remember. He wrote a book about kissing, and here's the thing. He wrote a book about kissing and the sensations that kissing evokes. Now, I'll pause for a second, let that sink in. This is a Catholic priest who wrote that. Kissing and the sensation that kissing evokes. Where's his mind, I wonder, this celibate priest? It's a priest who Francis appoints now. Think about the scandal, the horrific scandal. This is what I meant. His job is obviously to just dismantle the old Catholic Church, right? And to hand the whole thing over to Klaus Schwab or what's left of the WEF or whatever it is, the World Economic Forum. Okay, he appoints this guy to succeed Alfredo Cardinal Ottaviani, just giant theologians of the past, just watchdogs of the faith, you know. A little later on, Joseph Cardinal Ratzinger. A little later on, Gerhard Cardinal Muller. Powerhouse theologians, right? This little clown, this guy, Cardinal Victor Emmanuel Tucho Fernandez, writes a book called Heal Me With Your Mouth, The Art of Kissing, and he gets to ascend to the second highest position in the Vatican. You think there isn't a problem in the church today? But don't get me wrong, man, this guy Tucho is not imbalanced. No, not according to Francis. No, he's just a good priest, good guy, heck of a priest, who kind of has a penchant for authoring books about kissing. What's wrong with that? And, according to Francis, the traditional priests are the ones who are mentally imbalanced, mentally handicapped, because they want to say the same Mass that Padre Pio said all his life. That makes them nuts. They love the church's 2,000-year-old rite of Mass, so they obviously have emotional and behavioral problems that need to be kind of reined in, obviously, okay? Now, you and I, all of us went to Rome to cover the Sex Summit a few years ago. Cardinal Supich headed that one up. But that's where the whole world got to watch the church groveling at the feet of CNN and company, apologizing for the mess, the scandal, the abused children, the abused adults, the abused seminarians that's been going on for the past 25, 30 years, quarter century, under these clowns. So we all got to see the church just being mocked and ridiculed, rightfully so, for what's happened to the priesthood. You would think Francis would have the good grace to shut the heck up about traditionalist priests, and one of the few priests who are actually causing growth and doing something positive and wonderful for family. You think he would just shut up, but no, he's so angry. He's so filled with hate. He can't help himself. We are his public enemy number one. People like that have these behavioral problems that Francis has called out now publicly in the press, well, we all know they should be medicated, these young priests. The Pope himself is targeting them. It must be true. So these priests should be medicated, they should be monitored, they should be incarcerated in hospitals, maybe mental hospitals, for their own safety and the safety of others. And certainly, friends, the FBI is well within its rights to be surveilling parishes and churches where such priests are offering the Latin Mass, right? We're talking, after all, about dangerous extremists, according to the Pope. You see what's happening?